CrackBerry.com.
Welcome to the CrackBerry.com podcast, episode 092 for 12-12-12.
Hey, everybody, Kevin here from CrackBerry.com, and we are, as I say this right now, 48 days, 18 hours, 51 minutes, and 13 seconds away from the BlackBerry 10 launch event going down on January 30th, 2013. Everybody, it's been a while since we've recorded a podcast, but we're here, right? It's here. It's almost the holiday season, and we've got a full house on the show today. Let's start with Adam Zeiss. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm down to 9 fingers because I had a little incident with my snowblower, but other than that, everything's okay.
Chris Umiastovsky.
Hey, I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
I think okay. We're podcasting.
Awesome.
Simon Sage.
Yeah, it's good to be back.
Simon Sage, back from Bangkok, Thailand, where you played CrackBerry fanboy number 1.
Well, number 2. I'll take number 2.
No, you were deputy number 1 that week, and I hear you did a great job.
It was good to see a lot of RIM folks. I mean, I've been kind of bouncing around the other Mobile Nation sites for the last couple of months, but my heart is still with RIM, so it was good to catch up with all the BlackBerry people there.
It's good to have you on the show today, and we're excited to hear all of your feedback from that. Blaze, you've made it home from Arizona and Winnipeg, and you're back in Halifax.
And I've got booze. Look out!
And you're actually drinking.
Nice choice, also.
Really? See, this is why people work on jobs like. I mean, these aren't really jobs, because I don't think if you called this a job, you'd be allowed to do that. There you go. And rounding out our full ensemble cast today, Renee Ritchie, editor-in-chief of iMore, our podcast executive producer. And I really wanted him on the show because I was just on his iMore show where he was such a gracious host. And you basically let me rip at the iPhone and Apple for over an hour nonstop.
You made Tim Cook cry. It was fantastic.
Well, Apple does hate us, so a little bit of Tim Cook tears is not a bad thing.
Agreed. I listened to that podcast. That was a good episode, guys.
It's fun. I mean, hey, what's nice too is Apple's obviously at the top of the hill right now, which makes it okay to razz on them. People can't really give you a hard time for giving them a hard time.
Yeah, you're the underdog now. We're not the underdog anymore.
That's true. Well, I don't know if Apple was ever an underdog, but I guess underdog in mobile for a little bit.
Between Steve Jobs, they were an underdog in everything.
There you go. So today we've got a lot to talk about. Let me see if Adam put together a little agenda here of things we should cover in under an hour. I want to start with something I'm really sad about, but there's remnants left here. Movember is over, and I really wanted us to do a Movember CrackBerry podcast because, I mean, Simon, Blaze, Adam, me, we all had really creepy mustaches by the end of November.
Apparently Blaze still has his.
Well, Blaze still has. He's grown out the beard now.
You guys grew in a month what I grow in about 2 or 3 days. It was pathetic.
Yeah, well, I'm still growing mine from November 1st.
What? Lean into your camera. I don't see a mustache. Are you lying to us?
He's Elvin.
Yeah, I'm just
for what it's
exaggerating.
worth, I took Adam's picture and have it posted on my wall, so when I need a good laugh, I just look up and I'm like,
That's so dirty. And then, I was going for, I'm kind of got it coming back. I call it the Richard Branson look, right? Where I got the long hair, and I just need gray hair. I can't wait to be an old gray-haired man. It looks so good. But
I loved you in Point Break.
The locks are coming in. I'm supposed to get my hair cut, I think, January 30th, but I might just keep it. I like it long now. Screw it.
Please don't.
But the real thing here, we raised $14,000 for Movember, which is pretty huge, and I was hoping for like $2,000 and 6 people to participate who I forced them to, but we had like 99 people join the Mobile Nations Network team, 14 grand raised. Awesome. So we'll be back and doing it bigger next year. Other things going on before we get to the meaty stuff. CrackBerry redesign work underway, big time. We've got the BlackBerry 10 event coming up January 30th. So the goal is to have our CrackBerry 10 launch ready to rock, probably slightly beforehand, just because, if there's any bugs and stuff, I want them all ironed out before the big show begins. But super exciting. So if you don't see me blogging right now and stuff, it's not because I'm being lazy. It's because we're going a million miles an hour behind the scenes right now, taking care of a lot of stuff. And it's been a huge month for Mobile Nation. So much happening lately. We got, Passport rolled out. We got Windows Phone Central upgraded.
11 million readers.
Yeah, 11. I think as of today, 11.4 million readers in the last 30 days, which is massive. Like honestly, I'm the kind of guy who would say, "Hey, we're number one in mobile," just even if we were number like 99 in mobile or 1,000. But we're seriously number one in mobile, no questions. I don't know who can argue with us on that. So we've planted the full pole, and we're not going to slow down. So it's awesome to see everything coming together. And CES is coming up, right after the new year. So it's just going to be busy, busy, busy time from CES into BlackBerry 10 launch. So, CrackBerry, we had a little bit of an easygoing 2012, obviously, with, no real new devices. But I think we're just getting ready to go full speed ahead in 2013, which is exciting. But BlackBerry Jam Asia, Simon, you were in Bangkok, Thailand for a week there. I'd love to hear your take on everything going down in the world of BlackBerry and world of BlackBerry as it pertains in that part of the world too, which I think sometimes in North America we don't pay enough attention to.
Yeah, I mean, it's I tried to spend a lot of time with the developers, just to see what kind of apps they were making that we wouldn't necessarily see back here at home. And I think a big reason for us not seeing a lot of that stuff is because they really do drill deep into like really specific localized markets. Like, it's just a bunch of small islands with very, very specific needs and, different kind of content networks and stuff like that. So I think a lot of that stuff just naturally isn't going to show up on the front page of CrackBerry every day. On the other hand, there were also a lot of really great, more kind of globally applicable apps. There's this really great one called PicStory, which is kind of Instagram-ish, where you can like assemble different photos from your device and add filters and put them in different frames. And that was really cool. That was something that like any of us could use. And it seems like RIM is giving a ton of support to the developers there. That it's a really big success story for RIM in that area. That BBM is a huge must-have in a lot of markets there. Like Kevin, you were in Indonesia a while back, right? And there were like BlackBerries everywhere. It's the same kind of thing in a lot of different countries, I'm gathering.
Now, how did you find the network quality? Roaming from Canada to Bangkok. Was your phone still working as it should, or were you spotty coverage, or how's the infrastructure there for everything?
So my coverage was okay, but I mean, I think I just had an issue with like 2G, 3G bands. I was using a Rogers 9790 while I was down there, and I got a local SIM card for 77 baht, which I think works out to like $3. And for $3, I could get a week's worth of email and data, and it was just I was good to go. I was only on 2G all that time, but even then, that was fine for me. The most interesting thing that I found about the networks there was that 3G was still a big selling point. That like a lot of their banners were like, "Hey, we got 3G coverage everywhere," while all of us over here in North America are worried about 4G and LTE and stuff like that. So,
getting my LTE.
Yeah, but it's being right in kind of like a part of Bangkok. There was no real issue with dropping out of service. I'd imagine that might be a little bit different if you were to go outside of town in the more rural areas.
Well, no, I'm curious because, like you said, I was in Indonesia a couple years ago there for the first BlackBerry Jam Asia. Or was that? I forget when it was. Beginning of 2011, beginning of 2010, and one of the reasons for the BlackBerry craziness and BBM craziness was that it was literally the most reliable form of communication because with delivered and read confirmations, it was better than text messages, which you didn't know if they were going through or not, and a lot of people were carrying multiple devices just because in one part of the city a carrier worked and another one didn't. So they would just, literally juggle devices to get their full coverage. But it makes sense. I mean, Bangkok's a huge city, obviously. But you also have a lot of people probably on mobile devices, which, I know what happens when I go to New York even. And I'm on AT&T and around those big buildings with millions of people. Oh, what we take for granted on, say, Rogers in Canada, sometimes those big cities, no matter what, just... doesn't work quite the same. So okay, go ahead.
I mean, I didn't find any kind of network congestion like I would see in New York, which is kind of surprising because Bangkok's still a massive city. So I still had a fine time getting around.
So announcements at BB Jam Asia. Obviously, a big one was the Dev Alpha got updated, and I think you spent some time with the Dev Alpha. And was that your first time, or you've played with it quite a bit before?
I haven't played with it much. I had a briefing with Rim here in Ottawa about 3 or 4 weeks prior to going, and that was my first time with BlackBerry 10. So I'm still kind of getting comfortable with it, but I like all of the ideas with it. I couldn't quite identify what was necessarily new in the latest update, but
sure,
everything was still running really smoothly. Like, it didn't really feel like alpha or even beta at all. It's starting to feel fairly production quality, as far as I'm concerned, anyway.
Yeah, no, the new update, I was really happy with it, because I would say the two things I was most concerned about on the last build of the Dev Alpha got addressed 100% on this latest build. And one of those was with the keyboard. The BlackBerry 10 keyboard is obviously really good, innovative, etc. But on the last build, I was finding the autocorrection just wasn't working as well as it should, especially for those typos where, let's say, you don't hit the spacebar and you have two properly spelt words joined together. And, iOS is really good at separating those words. And, it should be, right? Like, so is SwiftKey in Android, which is in there. And with this latest update, the autocorrection is just, I don't know how many times better, but it's really good now. And I think the fluidity is just better, and the speed and responsiveness. Like, I've found since that update, and again, it's hard to describe the keyboard, but when I use it now, I am freaking fast on it. So, I mean, before, I think I had a question mark of do I want a physical keyboard, BlackBerry 10 phone, or a full touchscreen? And I think right now I'm typing, and I'll do some videos on this when I get a chance, but I think I'm typing faster on the BB10 touchscreen keyboard than on my Bold 9900. So at that point, give me the screen real estate all day long, which is pretty huge, right? I'm excited. And then the other thing too, they fixed the active frames, or not the active frames, but the icons are less ugly than before. I know you have strong feelings on this, so I don't know if they're quite as sexy as you want them, but they did at least change them, so they are listening to us.
Yeah, my quick 2 cents there is, it's not so much the icons. I think the icons are okay, but it's that absolutely disgusting bluey colored background I guess it's the wallpaper. You can change it, but every single video I've ever seen has this nasty blue background. The highlight bar that shows up in all the context menus is this nasty blue. It just doesn't look fresh and clean. It looks ill. It looks sick. And I think they need to change it. It's the first thing people see when they pick one up in a store.
So the good news is, on this Dev Alpha build, they actually preloaded a bunch of wallpapers, and I don't know if any of them are that ugly blue one from before. I'm going to check right now.
Yeah, show me. I want to see what it looks like.
But I agree that Chris, didn't we upload them all for people to download? Blaze?
Yeah. They're posted on the blogs and stuff, so everybody can go ahead and download them.
Awesome.
Big Hap 83 up there. He's the one that posted them for us.
Yeah, I'd like to see what the icons look like. Like, how does that home screen look with a different background? Because maybe it's not the icons that are the absolute horrible offender. It's something else. Yeah, that's a whole lot nicer just by having some brighter color, not that ugly shade of blue.
Okay, so now, so we have options. So here, let's pick one and see how it looks for you. This is live podcasting, folks.
All right, do one. Anyone.
I like this red one. Let's see how it goes. Red. This is pretty vibrant.
That's not red. That's CB orange.
It's not quite CB orange. It's still not. You know what it is? Like, they put these frames around the icons that I don't think they need.
Yeah, it kills. Yeah, exactly. They need to kill that rounded rectangle.
Need them. Like, people will understand the text floating below the icon. So I don't know. I mean, we know why they're doing it. It's to kind of evoke that emotion of what the active frame looks like. But it does clutter up. If you take pictures of your kids, you're not going to see a lot of your kid with that kind of wallpaper or that kind of icon treatment, I guess. But it's better. It's better than it was, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, I just want to see them nail the fine points, because it cannot look ugly when someone picks it up in the store for the first time.
It's definitely, with this latest Dev Alpha build, a lot smoother too. Like the last build, I don't even know the words to describe it, but it had a jitteriness about it. Like when you would be in an app and then you'd flick it back to the active frame, it was almost like you'd see the app downsize, and then once it was kind of downsized, you'd see the frame like snap into place on top where it said the text and the outline of the, like there's like a harder outline to the app. And I was always like, ooh, it's quick and snappy, but it looked like unfinished. And with this build, it's really fluid. Like you don't have that anymore. It's just as you minimize an app, everything is perfectly there. So I definitely think in these final weeks leading up to the launch, they're going through things with a fine-tooth comb, really putting the polish on in those fine details that were kind of jumping out at me before. But something like those icons, I think that's not changing at this point, at least for launch. So we'll see what happens, and we'll see how it's received by everybody else. But now, Simon, what's this about another Dev Alpha coming out?
Yeah, well, they announced the Dev Alpha C at BBJam Asia, and that's going to be the QWERTY keyboard version, which I think is interesting. I mean, last I had heard from Room folks is that they were kind of done with Dev Alphas, but I think a lot of people were still really concerned about whether or not a keyboard version would come out, and a lot of developers are interested in testing out their apps with a real physical keyboard. So it's not going to be around for long, right? I mean, by the time that they get out, we'll only have a couple of weeks until the actual real retail devices are shipping.
So what's the timeline on the new Dev Alphas or the keyboard Dev Alphas? Isn't it like right now they start shipping early this month?
Yeah, really soon. I think they said it was like 2 weeks after Jam Asia. So yeah, I think that'd be this week or next week.
And have there been any photos yet, or it's been purely just discussion? No.
They didn't show any pictures of it, which I kind of needled Room PR about. I was thinking, like, people want to see it. We're curious about figuring out what the final devices are going to look like. But I think Room is still playing their cards close to their chest, and Room's actually been really good about kind of holding back a little bit while still giving little tastes of BlackBerry 10. They've done a really good job of pacing the reveals of all of the BB10 features. So I think not showing us the Dev Alpha C device at Jam Asia is just a big part of that.
Right, and I wonder if they're going to be a little strict with the developers getting them, saying, hey, don't post these things publicly. Like maybe they're in developers' hands right now, and because they can track them. Any dev who's getting it obviously really wants it, right? They're putting some requirements there. So maybe they're trying to keep it a little...
They're not handing them out like the other Dev Alphas either. Yeah. You have to meet that certain criteria to be able to go ahead and get it, so it's possible.
Which is smart. They should only give it out to devs who are actually building apps. In other words, not Adam Zeiss or Chris Parsons shouldn't get these things. But.
Adam could make an app.
Kevin, do you actually have an app? Because I have an app and Chris has an app, but I don't think Kevin has an app.
I think I have an app under development called CrackBerry.
But do you have anything published in App World?
It's called Adam, You're Fired. It's a brand new app.
Kevin already told me in my Christmas bonus I get to keep my job this year, so I'm not scared.
I am the contact on the CrackBerry Mobile Nations account, so screw you.
A free jail card, though.
Screw you. I got more downloads in App World than you.
I don't know about
this
that.
This is it. 2013. Let's see which writer can get the most downloads, and whoever gets the least loses their job.
All right, Adam, send me your app. I'll get you a 5-star review.
All right, perfect.
Is it now? I really hope, Adam. Is it a collection of Adam Zeiss poetry?
No, that's only on Amazon. That's an Amazon Kindle exclusive.
You should. I think it's time to put that into App World too.
Good, actually. I can make it an ebook and put it into App World. That's a good idea.
Do it.
Good. I want royalties. Okay, so on the keyboard Dev Alpha front, obviously we can't. We don't know what it looks like yet. Obviously, Adam. Which ones of us got the briefings? I mean, I've seen the real thing. Adam, you've seen the real thing.
Correct.
Blaze, you? No. Who else? Zach. Oh, Zach and James. But so I'll be curious to see what the Dev Alpha looks like, because obviously I'll have a pretty good idea of what it looks like when we see it.
That's so profound.
I don't know.
Expect it when you see it.
Expect it when you see it. But what we can talk about, which we've seen right now, is last night Blaze was up late and all BlackBerry hell broke loose when a site out of where? Vietnam? I think Vietnam?
Yeah, they posted.
Video.
posted awesomely hot, high-res photos of the BlackBerry 10L series, along with a video that went up earlier this morning, which I would say is our best, unofficial public look at the devices so far. That we can clearly talk about what's there. So
it looks pretty darn good too.
It's hot. I mean, reactions from Rene Ritchie, because what's interesting here is I could see an iPhone guy, especially after the iPhone 5 all blacked out hits the market, and people saying, oh my God, RIM's ripping Apple off. But what those people wouldn't know, of course, is that RIM was planning this for a long time, because I saw that hardware a long, long time before Apple ever announced an iPhone 5 and people knew what it was going to look like. But what do you think looking at it?
Well, first, the website that published those pictures has a really good reputation. They've been publishing phone pictures early for years. So, I mean, that's a really solid source. In case anyone thinks that Kevin whipped those up in Photoshop, he did not. And yeah, no, I think it looks great. I don't think it looks like an iPhone at all. I think RIM has got it doesn't look like a Galaxy phone. It doesn't look like an HTC phone. RIM's got a really good design language. It has some of the elements that you blogged previous, like angled photos of. I think it looks absolutely fantastic. And I think the software looks good too. I think RIM's really, really strong right now.
No, I think the size of it is one of the interesting things too, where, I think, what is it, Blaze? It's 4.2-inch display.
Yeah.
And I think it hits a sweet spot that, now I know on our podcast, Rene, when I joined you,
yep.
I said Apple's approach to one-handed use means let's keep the phone really skinny so that you can, use it with one thumb. And then I argued, well, it's a little too skinny for a lot of people to comfortably use with two thumbs for typing. And I think RIM with that size of device, when you compare it to the iPhone 5, it gives you the option of both. You can either type with one thumb. If you have really small hands, maybe it's going to be a bit of a far reach to the left side of the keyboard or the far end of the keyboard. But I think for most people, you could type one thumb comfortably, or with two thumbs comfortably also, which, when I use the Dev Alpha, that's the case. I'm very fast with two thumbs, better than on an iPhone 5. But when I go to one thumb, then I start using these swipe gestures more, and I can type pretty quick with one thumb also. So,
and as you pointed out on the iMore show, Kevin, Apple optimized the software for that one thumb, so the detection areas and the touch targets are all shifted to that direction. And with BlackBerry, your keyboard looks like it's more of an option to use one hand, not a priority.
Exactly.
Well,
yeah.
your BlackBerry keyboard evolves. The more that you use it, the more it adapts to you. So it figures out where your hotspots are on when you're actually typing. So if you
sounds
say,
dirty.
for example, I don't know, you're meaning to type one key, but it realizes that you're not actually hitting that key all the time, it will automatically adjust and make it that key to make it appear. So if you're like tapping on a key that is relatively close beside it, but not meaning to, it will automatically adjust over time and make it so that it's the right key that you're tapping on.
Yeah, but doesn't Apple have that too, Rene?
It's different. Apple prioritizes based on different things. It doesn't really care. Like, it will make a letter that is more commonly used after the letter you just typed a bigger touch target, but that's a generic thing. It will also adapt to the words that you use with a dictionary, but it's not actually moving touch targets around if you continually hit the wrong letter. It just thinks you can't spell.
Got it.
And it does a bad job of autocorrecting.
A hilariously bad job. Don't forget that.
Here, people are complaining in the chat room that I'm quiet, but I don't know if it's actually.
I turned you up.
Okay.
I got a question. We've been talking a lot about the touch keyboard, the touch device that's coming out. And I'm with you guys. I'm with you, Kevin. I think this will be the first time I switch away from a QWERTY. But there was a report, I think it was last week, somebody speculating that the QWERTY version won't come out until June. What do you guys think about that?
Well, I called BS on it. When I saw that article, I immediately pinged Blaze. And wait, that's what I did, didn't I, Blaze? And it's like, Blaze, have you heard this? Because I haven't heard this. This seems crappy and not believable. So then I emailed Rim and I said, can you give us a statement on this? Because this seems like complete bollocks. And the thing is, like we interviewed Torsten Hines, we interviewed the CMO, the COO, and everybody was very clear. When BB10 launches on January 30th, there's going to be an announcement that shows both the devices. And it's going to say, here's a release date for the touchscreen. Here's a release date for the keyboard version. They're not. If they were to come on stage and say, okay, you can buy the touchscreen this month and the keyboard not until June, just shoot me now. Like,
oh yeah,
it's. I don't even want to talk about this stuff anymore. And
Well, it just never made sense because there's no technical reason. Like, this is not a hardware issue at this point. They are nailing down the software.
exactly. And Heinz said in the Q&A he did with us at BB Jam, where it was the executive Q&A, he said, look, we're building the harder device first. When we do the full touchscreen, building that properly clears the path for future products like the full keyboard one, which is much easier for us to do than the full touchscreen. So, I mean, if it is delayed that long, or it doesn't come out until then I'm really, really mad. Because so far, I love these our new RIM management folk, but that happening would make me mad.
We need to put together like a shite list of all the people who publish crap that doesn't make any sense, and then we'll know when to just ignore it.
A clean challenge.
Awesome.
I've been waiting for it. I'm just like, I have a collection of links of people who are like, stated that RIM is dead, or RIM is going to fail, or this is what RIMS needs to do, or whatever. I'm just like, yeah. And then I'm going to go back and see how many people actually roll back their words and find out.
Nobody will do.
Just a little bit of a comparison at some point in time, just to see.
Nobody will go back on their words. But, with the timing of the Dev Alpha C, though, it's an interesting thing to contemplate, too, because obviously you need to get it out there so devs have time to make sure their apps are working. It wouldn't be good for that phone to launch with no apps, right? And devs have had plenty of time with the full touchscreen Dev Alpha. So this is coming a little shorter notice to launch. So you could argue, okay, if it's hitting developers' hands in the next couple of weeks, and let's say it does launch a month behind the full touchscreen, that's still 6 weeks. I mean, Renee, what happens when Apple releases a new SDK or something? How much time do they give developers with it to bring over apps?
Well, it depends. If it's a brand new product, it's usually less time. Like the iPad, I think, had a month just to adapt your apps for the iPad. But usually a new version of iOS, it gets announced in June and it ships in September or October.
Okay.
So you have 3-4 months.
And in this case, it's very, as being pointed out in our comments right now, like if devs are actually using the SDK properly, they don't really need to do much on their app to take it from full touch to keyboard version, depending what it is.
Because
Sure.
everyone always says that. And a couple designers that I know, at least, they were kind of concerned because you have 2 aspect ratios are harder to target than 1, and developers and designers are as lazy as the rest of us. They'd rather work once than twice if they can.
Sure.
And like WebOS said, oh, we automatically scale, and they didn't. And Android says, oh, we automatically scale, and they don't. Do you think RIM really will automatically scale, or do you think it will be more of a challenge for developers to hit 2 different screens?
I think it's more of a challenge, but it should be a challenge that isn't a big challenge unless you're doing, games and things where you need to be really, really specific. But for content-based apps and that, especially if you're following the native UI guidelines, using, the BB10 menu systems and everything else, I think it shouldn't be too bad. So it's going to depend on the type of content, obviously. But I think they're making the tools so they work. They've been pretty careful about that. I mean, I remember an interview we did with Alex Saunders actually at CES last year, so last January, coming up to almost a year ago. And I gave him a hard time at that point saying, what's happening? Because, is it going to be a 1-to-1 type of ratio on the keyboard version when it comes out? And what the heck are you going to do? Because it has to have apps. And, the answer he gave me then was just, we've definitely learned a lot from our past experiences in which we had, RIM used to have they were probably up to 10 different screen resolutions and aspect ratios at the same time, right?
Yeah.
They must have. Look at our wallpaper gallery, how many different resolutions of the displays
The 2 torches were different.
Yeah, it was really messy. So I think they've learned from that, but 720 by 720 will probably not see as much content overall as the L series full touchscreen, I think.
Be great for Instagram.
Yeah, that's true. But then at the same time, RIM obviously wants to get as many apps in there as possible. At the same time, I think the people who are going to go for the full keyboard BlackBerry are probably going to be of the mindset where if there's a few less games and things, obviously they're going to want everything. Everybody wants everything, but they probably won't be that upset. Because if you're sacrificing screen real estate in the year 2012 or 2013 or 2014 to put a full keyboard on the phone, it's because you value communication as a priority,
it's a
right?
deliberate choice.
Yeah, it's you'll take the compromise, and it's still going to be a way better operating system experience than sticking with BlackBerry 7 or older devices. So it'll be a no-brainer for those people. But obviously, we should see as many apps as possible there. That's RIM's.
I want it all. I want it now.
Yeah, and I mean,
Is that a
apps.
song? I want it all.
No, but apps. Me and Blaze were talking yesterday briefly about, just how everything's kind of starting to lead up to BB10, and apps are definitely the one question mark now. I mean, we see the leaks, right? Yesterday's leaks are hot. We've seen the latest Dev Alpha update. It's really smooth. I mean, not all apps are on there, but we know the native app experience is going to be smooth and fluid and, pretty feature rich. It really comes down to what RIM is shipping in the box when BlackBerry 10 launches is going to be good. What makes it win, especially, win back mind share with some of the tech reviewers, with some of that mainstream consumer public, is going to be apps. And, me and Blaze have both been on Windows Phone 8 right now. And I don't know, it's kind of like we're seeing this play out where they're a little bit, where I go into their catalog and I'm not blown away. I was just away in Miami for 10 days using the Lumia 920, and, I didn't have Instagram, which is what I really want when I'm traveling. I didn't have, open table to book reservations through an app, and all these little things. I'm like, I need this, weren't there. And I'm like, oh, please, BlackBerry 10, please save me when you launch and have this stuff I actually need. And I know a lot of people are really going to want. So
that's a good question then, Kevin, because so much of what RIM is doing has traditionally been leaking pretty well in advance, and the apps have not. So is this the best kept secret, or is it just not happening?
I'm going to let Blaze answer this because I know he's been digging around every chance he can get into apps.
I don't know. Like Kevin was saying, he asked me how I was feeling about BlackBerry 10 last night. And I said that there's been, quite a few apps that have actually been put into BlackBerry World right now, but there's nothing really drastically huge. Like, we've seen the Facebook application, but RIM hasn't put it into BlackBerry App World right now. So on the Dev Alpha, if you go ahead and you open it up, you don't see Facebook in there. So I think RIM is actually keeping some apps out of focus and not allowing people to go ahead and download them and not giving everybody the opportunity to see them. And when it comes to the leaks and stuff, though, I think they've done a really good job of keeping some of that stuff secret, because you can't, if you're a developer, you can't access it. So you can't get directly onto it. So I do believe that they have a lot of mainstream applications that they're keeping secret. They're not putting them into BlackBerry 10 on the Dev Alpha builds, but to what extent those mainstream apps go, I'm not entirely too sure, because, is Instagram going to be there? Is the Twitter application going to be a full-blown Twitter application, or are they going the same way that they did with, like, on the BlackBerry Playbook, and just totally integrating Twitter with the operating system itself? People didn't really like the whole deep integration. I mean, it was good to have that integration there on the BlackBerry Playbook the way that they designed it to be, but it's not a full-featured application. It's just deep integration within the operating system. And we saw Evernote's being baked into the whole operating system. We've seen the pictures, I guess you could say, of Dropbox integration, Box integration. You see those applications on there, but I don't know how many of those real mainstream apps that people want is still kind of like a toss-up in the air. And like I said, there's a lot of people that were wanting all of these applications, and they may or may not be available. And RIM has constantly said that they're targeting those applications that are more diverse in the specific area. So if you're going to Indonesia, then you're going to have the top Indonesian apps. If you're going to the US, then hopefully you're going to have the top US wanted apps. So they're hitting it like that. But I think there's a lot of stuff that they're actually not showing everybody. Like, the applications are in BlackBerry App World, but you can't access them. Only the employees side can access them. So hopefully we'll get to see a lot more of that, and hopefully they'll be a lot more impressive than what's in BlackBerry App World right now. Because
even if they have a bunch of these apps that are hidden, I think they should even keep them hidden among most of the employees if they really want to keep it a secret, because you don't want any leaks. You want very few people knowing what's coming. And January 30th, you want Torsten to step up on stage and just unleash like 10 awesome apps that everyone has wanted and just watch the stock rally.
That's I don't know. That's one of those things that I was talking to Kevin about, because I don't think that they actually should go ahead and keep it a secret. I think they should reveal some of it. They should put it in BlackBerry World for developers to go ahead, let the pictures get out. I think that's probably the best thing. Like, for example, the Facebook application. If developers had access to the Facebook application or Foursquare or whatever, even though it's not of any use outside of the community, aside from the developers who have it, at least people will be seeing it. They're like, oh, look, BlackBerry 10 has Facebook. BlackBerry 10 has this.
I've got 3 things to say on this quick. So one is, there is an effect of, if people talk right now about what they're putting into BB10, like some of these good apps we want, and they're not on BlackBerry 7, that's just like a PR nightmare. It's like, what? You're not supported by BlackBerry 7 phone, we're going to support BB10? Because RIM still has 80 million customers out there who want those same apps that we want for BB10. So I think part of it is, let's not put out a good story that's immediately a poison story by nature of the 2 platforms going on at once right now. 2, I think, so that's kind of the reason I'd say better to keep them quiet, even though I see your point on let's build some hype. To that point, there is a cascading effect, right? Like if everybody who's out there who's been harping on RIM starts to see, hey, these big app guys and names are coming onto BlackBerry, maybe I need to hustle and get my apps there too. I think that's the benefit of teasing a little bit right now. Because if you don't tease at all, it's like, well, crap, if nobody's developing for BB, I'm not going to either. So I don't know if you can win that battle there. The third thing, though, is, like you said, RIM's been working on this. I mean, Marty Malik's team has been the team for the last several years who's going out, knocking on the doors and saying, put this on our platform. What do we do to have, what do we have to do to get it there? Do we need to build it for you and you just tack your name on it? Do we need to throw money at you? Do we need to help your resources? What do we need to do? So that team has been there. And then the more hands-on team, Alexander's team there, has been this grassroots. We go across the world. We build up the local app content with the local developer communities. So they're really trying to hit it from every angle. But honestly, it's, what did I say? 48 days we'll know the deal. But my big fear is, I really hope they have, if they're missing 1 or 2 apps, it'll be okay. But if they're missing more than that, of the kind of gimme ones we need, that's going to become the story instead of BlackBerry 10. And that's my, you want to give me a Christmas present this year? It's let's fill in that app gap as close to 100% as possible for.
I think at minimum they should give us at least what we already know is existing. That seems fair. I mean, we've seen the box application on the devices that showed up in pictures. We've seen the Dropbox application. We've seen the Facebook application. Just go ahead and push that stuff to BlackBerry App World. Let people take pictures of it and enjoy some hype over it. BlackBerry people have been waiting for BlackBerry 10 for the longest period of time. They're excited. They need some more motivation to be able to go ahead and keep going. It's an exciting time for Research in Motion. Give the people some more excitement. Just hype it up and let it be. But
says the man in the giant green wreath.
Who's drinking
I'm
beer?
with you, Chris. I'm with you on the idea that if they're going to put it out to employees, they should put it to developers too. Like, you either keep it secret or you put it out there. You can't go halfway.
Plus, it gives, like Jerome was saying, I believe Jerome was saying in the chat, or it gives developers inspiration to go ahead and build better applications themselves as well. Because if I was to ask you right now, what's a standout application that you've seen for BlackBerry 10? Or Kevin, what's a standout application that you've seen for BlackBerry 10? Like, what application have you seen for BlackBerry 10 right now that says, I need that, I want that, this is a definitive application on BlackBerry 10 that I have to have? This is an application that I really enjoy using.
Hero app.
Yeah, hero apps that we've seen. I mean, the Facebook demo is probably the biggest one so far, right? That we know based on historic BlackBerry users. Like, they go nuts whenever there's a Facebook update. Yeah. We've seen the native integration with some. Not a lot, though, right? Not a lot has been demoed. I mean, we know playbook stuff, but Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot we need to see. You know, I want to see my urban spoons and my open tables. I want to, you know, in every category. That's the thing. If you go through, let's say, the iPhone or iPad into every category of app, there's always kind of those 2 or 3 apps that jump out at you as like, yeah, these are the ones that, yeah, they're the essentials. And we're still missing some essentials there.
They
and
should
that's
do
before
that.
we get to fringe stuff.
They should go to the App Store. Apple has a category, the top 10 essential apps in every category, and just take those.
But that's what they've been trying to do, Renee. I mean, that's like when I said Marty Bell's team, they've got several people and they're on airplanes flying around trying to get those apps. So what we haven't seen is if they've been successful or not. I mean, if they haven't been though, that's going to not be good. However, I would say I'm still betting on BB10. You know, if let's say the app story on BlackBerry World is similar to Windows Phone 8 at launch, I still think you're going to see more BB10 excitement and sales material. Maybe less. Hey, even if the excitement isn't there beyond like the CrackBerry community, I still think you're going to see more sales materialize because people get what BlackBerry's about. And RIM will be able to say, we fixed all this shit that drove us nuts about BlackBerry before. Go buy it. And that'll pull a lot of people in. More than Windows Phone 8, who's still trying to kind of prove why you should buy them and what their, you know, value prop is to the average person.
I'm not
iOS.
I'm not ecstatic about the Windows Phone 8 store, but it's fairly reasonable. I mean, I got Evernote, I got a boxed application. What else do I got on here? What else do I got on here that I absolutely need to run my day? So yeah, I got Evernote, I got Box, I got Twitter, I got Rdio, I got an instant messaging application, which is IM Plus on there, which seems to be the best so far for me anyhow. What else is on here? A weather application. I got the Amazon Kindle. I got a Tumblr application that I use. I got Crackle. I got Netflix, eBay.
Yeah, so that's not bad. They've got a lot of those essentials then for sure.
Yeah, I mean, if RIM can pull off some of the essential stuff that I use pretty much on like a day-to-day basis or get close to that, I'll be pretty happy and I'll be pretty pleased with it. But right now, like I was saying, there is no hero application that I can point to and say, look, this is what's going to make BlackBerry 10 great. This is what RIM has been working on. Right now,
BlackBerry Messenger.
This is what BlackBerry can do that nobody else can do.
That's actually what I was just thinking. Like the only hero application I can think of is the built-in application, which is BlackBerry Messenger, and it's like, well.
So you want to see something that no other platform can do based on BB10?
Yeah, I mean, I don't even care if it's another, you know, an application that is available on another platform. I would just like to see a beautiful application that doesn't, like the Twitter application on Android looks the same as it does on iOS. You know what I mean? I'd like to see some application from some developer. I don't even care if it's a big name application. Just somebody who creates an application that is useful and is designed using all of the BlackBerry 10 guidelines.
That when your friend sees it, they go, wow.
RIM should do? RIM should make sure they have the world's greatest Bloomberg app for all the Wall Street types and win back Wall Street simply with how good the Bloomberg app is on a phone.
For sure. For sure, not just Bloomberg. Like, you know, have a good collection of financial apps that people just flock to.
Yeah, go back to the core that got them started, right? Just boom, kill it out of the hop. But 48 sleeps. We'll see what's going on. Okay, let's move on. Except Adam, really quick, tell me what are the 5 apps that your wife needs on BB10 if she's going to buy a BlackBerry 10 phone? She's the one to get her.
Right now, I think it's Words with Friends and Scramble with Friends, and then maybe Instagram. She actually hasn't been using too much other stuff lately, so I don't know that. I know the last time we talked, we said it was kind of a big thing where we would have to, you know, sell our spouses on the device based on the apps, but she kind of fell out of her Instagram thing. But she likes the games more so. So I think like a lot of the Zynga stuff would be a big bonus, but. Outside of that, I mean, I don't think there's anything without a little coaxing that she couldn't get around. So I don't think it'll be too much of an issue. It's going to be a test. I'm going to make it like a blog post series, like my trek to get my wife to use BlackBerry 10.
Mrs. Zeiss goes to BlackBerry.
We'll see how it goes.
Did you guys watch the College Humor Instagram spoof? I'm assuming yes.
No, I didn't.
Oh, you got to watch it. So my wife's been talking about wanting to use Instagram, and that a lot of her friends are posting with Instagram now. And so she's talking about, well, would it be nice to have it? And of course, all I can say is hopefully it'll be there on BlackBerry 10. And then the spoof came out, and you guys have to see it. It's so funny. I mean, she was laughing so hard, and she said, now I think I'll be embarrassed to use Instagram because it's a complete, it's just a parody on the whole idea how people waste their life away by just documenting stupid shit and then putting filters on it.
On that note, you can follow me at instagram.com/crackberrykevin.
It's all filled with Campari pictures with filters.
Lots of Campari, some RC cars. That's kind of a Life of Kevin thing. Which I watched Life of Pi on last Friday night. Really good movie. Go see it. Montreal, Renee.
Yes.
Great movie.
Thank you. I made it.
You made it, yeah. Anything that has to do with Apple or Montreal, it's Renee's fault. Or benefit in this case. Adam, while we had you talking, yesterday you blogged up the Gold SDK Dev Alpha update.
I did.
So what's
He wasn't
what
sure.
happened?
They're just the updated Gold final releases for the BlackBerry SDK for BlackBerry 10, which is comprised of
Comprise.
Cascade,
Not compromised at all.
HTML5, Air, Native, and one other one, I think. But it's basically like the end all for all the developers to be able to crank out some pretty awesome apps for BlackBerry 10. So it's pretty exciting.
Cool. So
It
that's
is
it.
cool.
The race is
That's
on
gold.
basically for everybody in Appland. I know we're working on our CrackBerry 10 app, or I mean our CrackBerry app for BlackBerry 10, which internally we call CrackBerry 10. But I'm pretty excited for it. We're going to pound it out in 2 weeks and document the building of it. We're going to start after CES, then have it ready by the launch. But I've
Give us some teasers, Kevin. HTML5, Cascades. What are you using?
It's going to be native. It'll take advantage of Cascades in there. We'll make it pretty. But we have
Awesome.
really, really smart people building it, so they won't need a lot of time. They looked at it. They downloaded all the SDKs for the first time like a couple weeks ago just to take a look. They spent a half hour in it. They said, "Yeah, this is easy. We know this." Tom, our like community webmaster, he's like, he loves C++, right? Like all this web technology stuff is kind of
All this
boring to
PHP
him.
junk.
Yeah, PHP junk and all that. He's like, man, this is boring. So he loves C++. And then he's looking at the BlackBerry 10, the way the GUI builder works. And Tom built his own computer game, like PC game, not that long ago. And they came up with their own engine and everything. And
I had
like,
it.
yeah,
I was
clones,
like tweeting out links the other day. Clones
Yeah,
or whatever.
Yeah, clonesgame.com. So he's like, wow, the logic they used, like they followed the same sort of logic path in building their UE builder and everything that he did when he programmed it himself. So he's like, I feel like I made BlackBerry 10. So
Oh, Kevin.
Well, that's
between
a
him and
good
Marcus, they're just going to pound it
compliment.
out and it'll be awesome.
Kevin?
I have faith. Yes.
For those people who are, flinging with iOS while they're waiting for BB10, the CrackBerry app just got updated today for iOS 6 and iPhone 5.
Woo! Blog
Woo!
it. Adam, blog it. Blog it. Don't wait. Blog
You're
it.
right on that.
Okay, awesome. Okay, we're running out of time here. So, I mean, the last thing I wanted to touch on again, well, we talked about the leaks from yesterday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, BlackBerry 10's looking hot.
Hot.
So, I don't know. I think it's like maybe we'll do
Maybe
a
we can
year-end
actually wrap
show.
up on time for once.
Yeah, we can wrap up on time. I think we'll be back right before the new year because we always do a best of year. So we might as well do one final 2012 show.
That'd be awesome. Let's do it right after the earnings.
Oh, hey, yeah, stock is over $13 today, Yumi. We should let you talk about
Oh
that.
yeah, 12, 12, 12, and the stocks hit 13, so that's kind of cool. Yeah, I mean, it's good. I mean, the momentum is coming back, but I've written a lot of articles on this, and I think if people want to ask for more, just go ahead and tell me what you want me to write about. But my feeling is that this is all just a change in sentiment. Whether or not it's a reality, at the end of the day, we will find out. This is still a stock that has to, from a financial standpoint, prove that it has a business model. I think it's pretty obvious from all the work I've done on average selling price. Like the hardware, this is not going to be hardware that gets sold by RIM to the carrier at $400, like a lot of analysts were estimating. It's looking to me like we're going to see at least 450 US, maybe a little higher than that even, considering that the Apple iPhone 5 is well over 600. Yeah, keep in mind these are wholesale prices that the developers, the manufacturers sell to the carrier. So this is not your unsubsidized price that you would see from a carrier that's probably marked out. It's not your contract price. But so anyway, point being, RIM is probably clearly on a path to being able to make money again from the devices. So the other big question is still the service revenue. And I don't know if you have any more thoughts on it, Blaze. Last time I think we did a podcast, we talked about the idea that, you could take any SIM with any data plan and you were able to get services. And that was clearly just an indication of a beta setup. And it's not going to be that way down the road. But, as RIM rolls out BB10, are we still going to see those service fees come in at $1 billion a quarter? So that's the big thing that from a stock perspective that I'm worried about.
I still think they'll have the service fees, but probably not to the extent of what they actually had previously. They're not going to be making as much money off of it because carriers are probably demanding a little bit less from them now. Yeah,
I mean, the thing, I think, and this is something I've said too lots of times, I'm curious what you guys think, especially Kevin there. I know you're giving those pondering looks, but if BB7 came out, now, let's say it was competitive, but point being, let's say RIM just came to market now with the BlackBerry solution. Would they be able to get a service fee out of carriers? What are we paying for? Because it's not about BB10 being different and, the NOC is used differently and ActiveSync and all that crap. That's just a bunch of crap. That is not a valid argument as to why the NOC fees would go away. It comes down to legacy. When RIM invented BlackBerry and they started charging these fees, it's because they had something special that nobody else had. Now, if that happened again in this market, there would not be those fees, I don't believe. So I think what's happening is BlackBerry 10 is the catalyst for the carriers to renegotiate. And RIM's talked a lot about this. Torsten has said publicly, we are under pressure here. So the question is really how much pressure, how much does that ARPU, average revenue per user, how much does that drop and how quickly does it drop? Because it isn't just going to happen in one fell swoop. I mean, BlackBerry 10 is not going to hit Indonesia in any big volume. It's not going to hit a lot of the emerging markets in big volume day one. So there's going to be this rolling effect of countries and models and, but I do think that carrier fee is under pressure, and it's scary because it's $1 billion a quarter, and that $1 billion a quarter is probably 85% gross margin. So every dollar that it drops, it's a big deal.
Well, and it's going to depend on what RIM, maybe there's stuff coming in BlackBerry 10 that leverages RIM's infrastructure that we haven't seen yet. There might be some stuff in there we don't know, right?
That's the unknown.
We know a partial picture. We don't know a full picture, but I think RIM knows they don't want to lose that revenue, so they need to be able to justify it. So I think you're right.
That's
if they were just coming to market today for the first time, carriers would be like, what? Do you see the volume we're selling of Android and iPhones? Why would we pay you anything to give you a chance to fight in this market? Like, you should be paying us money. So
it's going to be this ongoing question for a while because they might have something up their sleeves that will bring value back, but it might take a year, 2 years to see it really roll out into the market. But that might coincide with the amount of time it takes for the existing NOC fees to also roll off. So they might be able to offset. Who knows?
I don't get why individuals are so concerned about it, though. There's a lot of people in the forums that are absolutely concerned about whether or not they have to pay for a BlackBerry data plan. If you're not paying for a BlackBerry data plan, you're paying for another plan anyways. No matter how you look at it, you're still paying for a data plan.
Yeah, it's all about the stock. It has nothing to do with the consumer's bill at the end of the day.
Yeah, I don't get why people are so flustered about it.
Don't get flustered.
Why do we have to go? I want to talk more.
The reason we have to go is because I'm going to be a guest right after this on the Windows Phone Central podcast to talk about my experiences with Windows Phone 8 and the what is it, Renee? Nokia?
No, you can say it any way you like, Kevin.
Guys, I say it the wrong way, which is Nokia, which is wrong.
Nokia,
which that makes me want to beat myself up. I just don't like that.
But no, you're missing the important part. The important part is a Kevin double feature.
It's a Kevin double feature.
It's a double header.
Do you think I should stand for that one too, or should I sit?
Can you hold a Windows phone this long while standing?
It really is a heavy phone, the Lumia 920. Okay, so here's the only outlier. The world may end before our year-end show.
Yeah, if the minds are right.
So if that's the case, I think we should just go around the circle quick, say our final words to CrackBerry Nation, just in case, and then we can reintroduce ourselves after the world is safe. Now, I just want to say I believe the world won't end because I didn't get married yet. So when it doesn't end, it's existing for my love to go through fruition. And
Your fiance is the
it.
most patient, wonderful woman in the world.
I think she's the one who's not in a rush.
Okay.
So
He's crazy. He's crazy.
So, CrackBerry Nation, thanks for all the love and support over the years. It's meant a lot. I've had the time of my life ever since CrackBerry.com launched on February 13th, 2007.
Wait, CrackBerry launched on my birthday?
Well, we soft launched. We soft launched in early February, right before Valentine's, but then the official press release was like the 26th or 27th. But you could go find the Hello World post. I think it's the 13th or 12th or 11th or something like
I'm pretty
that.
sure I knew that already, but February 13th is my birthday, so yay.
Anyways, Blaze, this is my farewell message, just in case.
You're ruining
The only
everything.
problem is I don't know who's gonna watch it if the world ends. Like nobody.
I'm gonna beam it into space for you, Kevin.
Okay, I'm gonna shut up now. But Adam, your turn.
Thank you for your love and support over the years. And I'm just excited for Christmas, and then I'm also excited for second Christmas on January 30th, and then third Christmas whenever the BlackBerry 10 launch date is after that. So I'm just like all Christmas stuff for the next 3 months or so. That's it.
Love you, Adam. Good. How's your finger doing?
I love you, Chucky.
Yumi.
If the world ends, Kevin, I'm going to be damn glad I spent more time with you guys on this podcast and CrackBerry instead of just working on Bay Street. I'm very happy that I made the transition. So if the world ends, it'll be a very happy last 2 years.
Excellent. Simon Sage.
Well, if the world's about to end, it was good to see you again one last time, CrackBerry Nation. I'm happy to be here.
Blazy.
I love all you guys. Make sure you go check out that video because it shows that the BlackBerry 10 video because it shows that BBM video is coming to BlackBerry 10.
Shh. Renee Ritchie, and then you can tell us where people can discover us.
I want to thank the CrackBerry Nation for keeping Kevin and Simon and Chris off the Canadian Social Security payroll, so my taxes don't have to go to support them. You guys have been great. You can find all of our shows on mobilenations.com/shows. You can find Kevin at CrackBerry Kevin. You can find Adam at A Zeiss. You can find Chris at CU Miastowski. You can find Simon at Simon Sage. And you can find Chris at Blaze with a 1 stuck right in the middle of that name. And you can find me at Renee Ritchie. You can find all of us at crackberry.com. And even if the world ends, we will be back for a year-end wrap-up show. That's how much we love you.
will. And here's a question to leave the show with and ponder between now and then. The BlackBerry of the Year in 2012. Is it 2011's BlackBerry of the Year for a second year in a row, the Bold 9900? Or do we give it to the Dev Alpha B? Because really, the Dev Alpha has been the most talked about BlackBerry this year.
Dev Alpha.
Who knows? Stay tuned.
Dev Alpha.
That's it. Kevin out.
Love you guys. Bye.
See you guys.